Coming up on To The Point, we're hearing from a Stockton homeless shelter about why it could soon close its doors, forcing hundreds out onto the street. We're talking solutions too, and what could be next for people living there if the shelter does close. We're also hearing from one local lawmaker who's working to get natural disaster status for extreme heat events after the hottest month in recorded human history. And the school that's adding technology to its classrooms to keep students safe and prioritize their learning. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on To The Point. I'm Laura Painter. Alex Bell has the night off. We start in Stockton tonight, where there's confusion and frustration as 250 people could be out on the streets without a place to sleep. This comes after the Stockton Shelter for the Homeless announced their closure earlier this week. Our Jeannie Wynn shares with us what city officials have planned and their hopes for a quick solution.
It was sudden, it was unanticipated, and it was quite abrupt.
In less than 2 weeks, 250 people are at risk of being displaced after the Stockton Shelter for the Homeless announced it was getting ready to close. In response, the city of Stockton declared a local emergency to protect those people and allow them to make a quick decision in regards to public health.
As city manager, I have to take it very seriously.
Today, Stockton City Manager Harry Black says St. Mary's Dining Room stepped up to the plate to sign an agreement to take over the space. But when it came to having Stockton Shelter to agree to sign it over,
they redlined the document, including language in it that was not acceptable and in several cases totally unrelated to the matter at hand.
The city then had to send Stockton Shelter a letter to vacate the property by August 16th in hopes of making room for a new nonprofit to continue to provide services.
If the property is not vacated, staff will work with our nonprofit partners to temporarily house our unsheltered population.
Black says the new $5 million homeless navigation center is about 80% complete and may help be a part of this solution.
That will be a part of the mix of the sublease agreement with whomever we ultimately end up contracting with to run the operations of the shelter.
Earlier this week, a board of directors told ABC 10 the reason for the shelter's closure was because of financial issues. Today, an attorney for the shelter tells us it's the city's fault the shelter is closing because they cut off funding knowing it would lead to closure. On top of that, the shelter's attorney says the city is more interested in concealing the truth and painting a false narrative. And while there is no concrete solutions at this time, Mayor Kevin Lincoln says he's confident the city will overcome this.
This is a moment we must meet, and this is a moment we will meet. Whenever our community faces challenges, we step up, we unify.
Now, I reached out once more to the city to get their response, but a spokesperson told me that she was not able to provide me with one on such short notice.
Well, Jeannie, we know that this navigation center that was supposed to be finished by now is supposed to be a big solution to this situation. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it's going to look like?
Yeah, Laura. City Manager Harry Black says that project is about 80% finished and is built out of shipping containers. So you can take a look right here. Now, these are renderings of what it'll look like when it's finished, and this is what it looks like now. It'll have a 24-hour navigation center and enough beds to serve as many as 300 people a night. That's 50 more people than the 250 who would need it, and it would be displaced once the shelter closes.
And we know this is just one part of a larger conversation happening throughout our region, throughout our state, the homeless crisis. Jeannie Wynn, we know that you will be tracking all of this for us and the updates and developments. Thank you.
Of course.
Now to this. Today, Stockton police just released some of the body camera footage from when an officer was shot and hit during a car chase earlier this week. We want to show you those dramatic moments and what the officer told dispatch when he was hit. We want to warn you, some of this video is disturbing and may be difficult to watch.
Looks like they're looking for a spot to fulfill. You're returning to Gateway Court. Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired!
Police say the officer was shot in the shoulder and the chest. He is expected to survive his injuries. Earlier today, Stockton Police Chief Stanley McFadden addressed the media and shared his reaction when he heard an officer had been shot.
Yes, I call that no parent, no chief. No one wants to get in the middle of the night. That call I got from DC Graviette was that I had an officer down. That is a gut-wrenching call that you don't want to hear, to where he had to repeat it a few times. He said, "Chief, you got an officer down."
The department also says 5 people have since been arrested in connection to the shooting. That includes 20-year-old Santhuan Savan, and he's been charged with weapons charges earlier this year. Now he's facing attempted murder, running from an officer, and assault with a deadly weapon charges. Now, months after the accused Davis stabber Carlos Dominguez was arrested, there's been a major update in the case. The Yolo County District Attorney now believes the former UC Davis student is not fit to stand trial. Our Garshpal Sangha joins us live from the Yolo County Courthouse in Woodland. Garshpal, tell us what you're learning about these new developments.
Yeah, Laura, and this is a major development, a development we weren't expecting this week because this week is actually supposed to be a break from testimony and things were supposed to kick back up on Monday. But this afternoon, both sides met with the judge to make sure everything would go smoothly for next week. And that is when the Yolo County District Attorney's Office told the judge that Carlos Dominguez, the suspected Davis stabber, is not competent to stand trial. So they're agreeing with the defense. That was the defense point the entire time. Now, the Chief Deputy District Attorney, Jonathan Raven, told ABC 10 in a statement, "We disagreed with the initial doctor's report and how she reached her conclusions regarding competency. We stand by that decision to challenge the findings. However, based on the information that came out in the trial and recently initiated involuntary medication proceedings, we are now in an agreement that Mr. Dominguez is presently not competent to stand trial." Now, Raven says Dominguez will be taken to a state hospital to be able to get to a point where he understands the charges that he is up against. And once he's able to reach that point, then he will come back to Yolo County and face that trial. Now, exactly how long that could take, no timetable has been given. We spoke to an attorney who told us it could take a few weeks, it could take a few months, but it has to get to the point where he understands the charges that he is up against before a trial can proceed. So we're going to work on this story and have much more on this tonight on Late News Tonight at 11. Laura?
Yeah, our Garshpal Sangha live in Woodland tonight. Garshpal, thank you. Well, still to come, on To the Point, the lawmaker trying to make FEMA funding available to places that face extreme heat.
84 degrees today as we felt a nice cooler day, but much hotter temperatures on the way. How long triple digits are expected to last?
And later in this half hour, we look into what one district is doing to stop school shootings.
Each of our workshop spaces have panic buttons. We also have them in specific offices for a staff. If there's ever an issue in any one workshop space, all they have to do is lift this up and hit the button, and it locks the facility down and begins to notify the police.
And that story and more when To the Point returns. Today, Congressman Josh Harder sponsored a bill that would allow communities to get FEMA resources when they are impacted by extreme heat. The agency's list of qualifying disasters includes fires, floods, earthquakes, and droughts. The bill would allow a state to declare a major emergency because of heat. Then federal resources can be used for things like cooling centers and emergency supplies.
This is not a Republican or Democratic issue. This is about making sure that we can keep communities safe all across the country. It's not just the Valley that is dealing with these extreme heat waves. We've seen it in Texas. We've seen it all across the United States, and it's probably going to get worse.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. Heat is the deadliest natural disaster. At least 39 people have died of heat-related illness this summer in and around Phoenix alone, with at least 300 more deaths still being looked into. And Carly, after a mild week in our area, you are tracking some big changes just in time for the weekend.
That's right. We've been dealing with wonderful weather conditions the last few days in the 80s, and now things are going to start changing as we see a warming trend beginning tomorrow. Temperatures in the 90s, which is pretty average this time of year to be 93 to 95 degrees. Expect that for tomorrow, but then triple-digit heat, that arrives on Saturday. We do expect it to last at least through Monday, and then we are still seeing some breezy, gusty evenings ahead. See our thunderstorm chances continue this afternoon. Most of it, though, pushing over toward Nevada now. Most of those chances have left areas, especially north of Yosemite, as we saw them a little bit earlier today, just right about there as you see a few of those thunderstorms pushing through. The northeast portion of the state also dealing with some thunderstorms, as well as areas just off I-5 before you get to Oregon. So we are still seeing some pop-up thunderstorms as of this evening, something to watch out for, especially as you continue on into the weekend. If you have plans to head over toward the east or further north, you're going to continue to see monsoonal moisture colliding here and clashing with some cooler air, bringing in those thunderstorm chances. Now, 10 to 15 mile-per-hour winds inland, and you are seeing a little bit of a pickup there in some coastal range spots this evening. Pretty similar tomorrow as we also look at 15, 20 mile-per-hour winds, and then again on Friday, just not really as extensive, pushing into those foothill spots as we've really started feeling that today. Now, as you look at the heat risk, most of it really has been minor for the most part, and then continuing on, we've been seeing moderate to major heat risk as we start moving toward the weekend. That's when we're going to expect most of this area to be in the moderate range. Much brighter colors, much orange there, so you can actually expect to see that heat affecting most people as we get into the triple digits. Lower foothills in those mid to low 90s, triple digits in Ione potentially tomorrow, and then that 10-day forecast brings us to 93 tomorrow. Then that real big heat up into the weekend. And then finally, by Tuesday, we should be dropping down into the upper 80s and low 90s, continuing that into next week. Laura.
Carly, thank you. Still to come, a troubling fentanyl poisoning case. Law enforcement trying to figure out how a 9-month-old baby came into contact with the deadly painkiller. It's a parent's worst nightmare, an active shooter at their child's school. With school shootings happening every year, a Vacaville charter school is turning to AI for help. To the Point host Alex Bell shows us what this brand new school is doing to keep your students safe.
We begin tonight with the deadly shooting at Michigan State.
A shooting at a high school in New Mexico.
A school shooting and deadly massacre.
During an active shooter situation at a school, every second counts.
Run!
Every second it takes to lock a door. Call for help could mean a life taken.
The suspected 18-year-old shooter went inside Robb Elementary School.
I would say what really changed everything was Uvalde.
The kids, they're getting the kids out.
For Jared Austin and his wife, Leslie Shebley, keeping their own kids safe at school is a priority.
From an early age, our children, when they entered the school, we had to talk to them through safety and consulting. I'm like, hey, if there's ever a school shooting, you need to run towards 2 locations on campus. To say, I have to say that to my 5-year-old or my 4-year-old, and then hope that they get it.
We all know what that feels like when you're watching something on TV and you see parents crying and you see students crying, and we don't want that to happen. So we allow that emotion to spur us forward to say, okay, what can we do?
More than 10 years ago, the couple launched a charter school in Vacaville. At Kairos, they say the safety of their students is just as important as their education. Jared became emotional as he talked about the school's mission.
You've got these little kids who's got a bright future, and you've got so much potential. I mean, we come up with mission statements and vision statements because we actually believe what these kids are able to do. And if we can't keep them safe because of the crazy world around us, what's the point of a mission statement? And so that becomes very real when you have to think through the individual things to do the school safety.
Now they're taking their mission to another level. They're opening a new school with state-of-the-art technology designed to protect students at all costs. A new generation of school safety that starts with just the push of a button.
Each of our workshop spaces have panic buttons. We also have them in specific offices for a staff. If there's ever an issue in any one workshop space, all they have to do is lift this up and hit the button, and it locks the facility down and begins to notify the police.
So on our phones, we can literally push active intruder, and it's going to send an alert to every single person on the phone, as well as our intercom system, and then that sends law enforcement immediately to our direction.
And we'll unlock that door. Alarm system, card access, this is all alarm.com. So this controls the entire school and all the doors in it.
Some of the many security features at the school include license plate readers and AI cameras that follow every person that walks onto campus.
So I can go to this particular person and it will populate every single time that person has gone by a camera and give you the video for it. You can search by short sleeve, long sleeve, what color they were wearing, a red shirt with a hat.
Once the cameras detect an intruder, the students from TK to 8th grade are placed in lockdown.
Within one button, we can deactivate everyone's key cards. If someone were to hurt a staff member and try to access their key cards, they would all be deactivated.
The school's motto is focus on safety so that families can focus on learning. Kairos families agree.
I really try not to go to a fear place, and it's hard as a parent to not. And I feel that the choices that we've made and where we put our kid have given me a greater security.
I feel pretty safe here too. Like, I know all the staff, I know all my teachers, and I trust them. It's a big deal to be able to do that because sometimes you can't.
For Jared and Leslie, they take that trust very seriously and vow to protect their students no matter the cost.
I would say people even just watching this, if anyone ever thought to attempt something here, they might think twice. Say, oh, I didn't know. Well, maybe not that school. The money that we spend is nothing in comparison to what it could do in the future.
We may never know if any of these measures were worth it, but we also may never know how many potential acts of violence they detoured because of the steps we were willing to take and the investment we were willing to make.
That was our Alex Bell reporting. That new school is opening at the end of this month. The charter school relies on the state and on grants for their funding. Now to this, we know a 9-month-old baby is recovering from fentanyl poisoning tonight at UC Davis Medical Center. Our Alicia Machado talked with the Sacramento County Sheriff about the investigation into how someone so young was exposed to the drug and how fentanyl continues to impact our communities.
A 9-month-old girl found suffering from fentanyl poisoning in Sacramento County at an apartment complex on Elkhorn Boulevard. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office says they got the call Wednesday night around 10:45 that a child had fallen out of a high chair and was unresponsive.
Fire Minister Narcan and revived her, transported to Mercy San Juan. She went into cardiac arrest there, and they gave her another dose of Narcan.
Sacramento County Sheriff Jim Cooper says the baby girl is currently being treated at the UC Davis Med Center. As she receives care, investigators are also trying to find out how the drug got into her system.
I mean, 9-month-old, think about that. They're barely crawling, if that, and getting around, not really walking yet. How does a 9-month-old ingest fentanyl? And that's very disconcerting.
Fentanyl, a growing problem within the region and beyond.
It's just the abundance of fentanyl in our community is insane. There are overdoses every day throughout California and Sacramento for that matter.
124 people have died from fentanyl this year in Sacramento County, according to data from the coroner's office. Just weeks ago, a 46-year-old man died from a suspected fentanyl overdose on Elkhorn Boulevard. And a few hours later, a 16-year-old on Watt Avenue. Sheriff Cooper says his team is seeing fentanyl in a variety of forms, from pills to marijuana. All his officers carry Narcan, and Cooper says it's going to take a variety of solutions to solve the problem, and a number of issues need to be addressed.
Number one, the traffickers, just massive amounts of fentanyl is being trafficked in and bought into our state. That's an issue in itself. Then secondly, rehabilitation. If you're an addict, there's no place to go.
That was our Alicia Machado reporting. The Sheriff's Office says the parents are now being interviewed and they're searching the apartment. Still to come, a popular circus coming to Sacramento for the first time. One way to stay out of the heat this weekend. If you're looking for something to do indoors this weekend, Cirque du Soleil is coming to Golden One Center. Our Marcus Allen talked with one of the performers, former college gymnastics national champion David Henderson, about what it's like working with such a large and diverse cast.
When we talk about diversity in society, you're living in a culture and a show that is probably more diverse than any art ever created.
All over the world, yeah. It's about 28 nationalities and languages being spoken just backstage and around. It's really nice to see other people hear their languages, see how they interact, and pick up on their culture.
Doesn't that look stunning? The performance has 6 shows at Golden One Center this weekend. The first one starts in about 30 minutes with another show tomorrow night and 2 more Saturday and Sunday each day. Finally tonight, here's what we're working on for tomorrow. One of Northern California's wackiest endurance races takes place along the Humboldt County coast, and our very own John Bartel was there to bring us the highlights. This is the Kinetic Grand Championship, a local tradition celebrating art, engineering, and chaos. Though it looks like a parade, it is far from it. These kinetic sculptures, they are known to embark on a 50-plus mile journey over land, sand, water, and mud, and they must do it under their own power. No engines, electric motors, or rockets are allowed.
We are addicted. We love it. The crowd, the fun, the festive, the friendliness.
Looks like fun. The racers don't win gold medals or prizes. They say they do it for the glory. To find out what that means, watch the action-packed race during Bartel's Backroads tomorrow at 6:30 right here on To The Point. And thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday evening. We'll see you next time, and I'll see you at 11. Good night.
Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.